Morning. How's everybody doing this morning? Everybody good? Wave at me. Wave at me. Do like this right here. Good to see you. Good to see everybody. Happy Tuesday morning. All you beautiful people looking at me straight through the Zoom. My name's Chad. Free. It's Tuesday morning, and I'm excited to be here. I'm in the financial business. I'm a wealth strategist. And I believe true wealth is an abundance of everything that you value. It is built from the inside out. And once you stop focusing on all external things and what the world tells you wealth looks like and start experiencing true wealth, your life will change. It will absolutely change. So good to see everybody here this morning. Good to see everybody here this morning. Karen, good to see you. You were on my mind this morning, on my heart, and had to reach out, check on you. So good to see you. Good to see everybody this morning. So before we get started, let's start with our affirmations. Now I'm going to tell you, like I tell you all the time, don't say this if you don't mean it. All right. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. You can fool me, but you can't fool yourself. All right. I am created on purpose for a purpose, and you are created on purpose for a purpose. There is power in that affirmation, guys, not only for yourself, but when you come in contact with other people. Just know that they have a purpose as well. They may not be pursuing their purpose yet. Sometimes you might doubt they have a purpose, right? I mean, let's just be honest. But they do. They really, really do. So I want to talk to you today about something that Brock, how long have I've been here 2.5 years, is that right?
Yeah, I know.
Roundabout?
Yes,
Wow.
sir.
Okay.
We've really grown
Well,
our family to now we have three dogs together in this Zoom family that we have.
I know. And while we're talking about that,
Isn't
I'm gonna
that
put
crazy?
D, I'm gonna put D on the spot because I think this has my message has a little bit to do with it. So D sent me and Brock picture yesterday of I don't know if he's a Texas tornado yet, like mine is, but he was standing on the keyboard. I don't know if he shut everything down or what, but I'm like, he's been listening to Becca Black and the Control Alt Delete, the whole restart. And he's like, look, I'm about to restart this house up in here, your whole way of living. There is a new, yes, look at that. Look at that. Hey, there's a new boss in town, right? Like I can see that. I can see that right there. That is too funny. So, um, what we're talking about is the past 2 years, about this time, I would talk about spring cleaning. And it just so happened that I think we could kind of go along with this message again because it's called Operation Overhaul. And where that came from is Wendy and I, Wendy works with me. We're kind of going through my book of business and seeing where some of our older clients could get an upgrade in their finances. Maybe there's some strategies that were not available back then, or maybe they were back then, but I didn't know about them. And where can we help level them up? So Operation Overhaul, and it's funny because she'll text me. Anybody else that we have on the list for Operation Overhaul this week? And so that's kind of what we've been doing. But you know, as I was preparing for this message, an Operation Overhaul shouldn't be just our finances. It should be several areas of our life, and you know what's true for our money, it should be true for our life as well. So, one of the things that I want to talk about is if you're willing to overhaul your money and your finances, then why wouldn't we overhaul our life too? All right. So if we're willing to do that, let's talk about our mind. We talk about the four parts of our nature: our mind, our heart, our body, and our soul, spirit. Those are huge, huge things that we need to be mindful of. And I really think that I was depending on knowledge, my mind, and my body for all my life to get me to where I was trying to go. My knowledge and my skills. I've said this often, but companies, they provide knowledge and skill training. That's about it. Nobody talks about the spirit, where the actual confidence comes from, the desire. So, if you forget something, fall flat on your face, and your heart's not really in it in the first place, then you really don't have a desire to get back up and keep going. Right? That's why I always talk about true wealth is built from the inside out. And once you get that alignment going, it's you're unstoppable. I'll just tell you that. You're not perfect, but you're unstoppable. So, are your thoughts helping you win, or are they keeping you stuck? Coach Burt says, are you a level 10 person stuck inside of a level 4 opportunity? Think about that. Are your goals so big, but yet you're really not even in an opportunity that will help you reach those goals? Are you running 2025 dreams on a 2010 mindset? Come on. Where's Jade at? Jade is not on here. He'd usually text me or come on, right? You got to update your mind. We're not we're not stuck in this little swimming hole. Everything that I talk about is things that has helped me. It's really, really helped me. And visuals help me. And it's funny, I gotta say this too. My wife, it tears her nerves up when I start telling the story because I'm long-winded. But look, I want you to be there. I want you to feel it. I want you to be like you're right there with me, and you smell the environment. You can taste it, right? And she's like, get to the point. Just get to the point. But it's not as impactful. That's the way I do things, right? So it's my story to tell, right, Brock? I used to say, I got the microphone. Let me tell my story. So I used to think, like the lake, we have the lake here, and I'm sure whatever lake you go to, there's probably an area where it's kind of buoyed off, even like in islands or Jamaica or wherever. There's buoys. This is the swimming area. This is where you swim, right? But there's a whole lake out there. But sometimes with our life, we choose to stay right here, and any opportunities, we want it to come to us. Does that make sense? Like we're staying here and we're just on the sidelines hoping something shakes out in our favor. And we're going to do the best we can to capitalize on it. When we're called to get in the game and get out there and get after it. So, what is it that's keeping you stuck? Broaden your mind, open your mind. It works best like a parachute when it's open. And while it all starts with your thinking, because your mind is the engine really that drives everything, what about your heart? So, what emotional junk are you still carrying around? We'll spend a little time on this one. Is there bitterness? Is there regret? Fear? That is dead weight that is keeping you stuck. So I want to, since it was Easter weekend and all that good stuff, I want to tell you something. I may have mentioned this in the past. I don't know. But you know, I'm not a perfect human being whatsoever. Don't claim to be. Don't act like I am. The last thing I ever want to do is look down at somebody because I don't think I'm better than anybody. Matter of fact, I don't believe you're better than anybody. You may be further along than others, but you're not better than anybody. I'm not better than anybody. You are one of one. And when you choose to step into that, that's when you'll start experiencing and start believing that for yourself. But if you have shame and guilt in your life, now listen to this. I want you to listen to this. I just feel like this is for somebody. We were not meant to carry guilt and shame. Jesus did not die on the cross for us to carry guilt and shame. And once you realize that, there could be something way down in your heart that you've carried for a long time that you need to get rid of. And if you don't believe that, that means that you truly don't believe. I'm not going to say that. I got to word this better. What Jesus did on the cross doesn't apply to you, just you, right? That's what you're kind of insinuating. And that's not true because he went to the cross so we didn't have to carry guilt and shame. And our mistakes and sin is tossed as far east as it is from the west. And we just got to get back up and get going. Turn from it. But what you've gone through in your past experiences should be a reference and not a residence. It should be used to equip you to help somebody else to move forward. Everything happens for a particular reason: the good, the bad, the ugly. And so I want to challenge you that if there's anything that is holding you back as it pertains to guilt and shame, you got to let that go. That is the biggest thing. And it could be, it could be way, way, way back. It could be forgiveness that you have not given to somebody. It could be forgiveness to yourself. Some of you need to forgive yourself. But that is the biggest thing that is keeping you stuck. When you free your mind, no pun intended, right? And you free your heart, then that's when things start changing. Now, let's make it funny, okay? So, back in the day when there were landlines, and I was at Clemson back in the 1900s, me and my roommates, I had three other roommates, and I'm trying to figure out how it went, but so we made this long message, okay? Just a little intermission here, okay? So we two of the guys, we created this voicemail, and it was like, "Hey, this is Will and Jerry, and we're bad boys, bad boys. What you gonna do?" Had the music playing, right? And then Jeff, and this is Jeff, and I'm an Indian outlaw. And then I said, "And this is Chad. Free your mind." Some of you may know that song, some of you may not. I don't know. But anyway, we said, "We're not here right now. We're down on the corner." All right, back to this. All right, so let's talk about, everybody needs to laugh. I mean, we just come from serious, right? We need to talk, we need to get back into it now. But look, so what about your body? And I'm talking to me now because I need to start taking better care of my health. right? I see a lot of people my age that are starting to struggle and have health issues. And we can talk about everything in the world, but if we're not taking care of our body and our health, then what good is it? What good are we? What service are we being able to give anybody? What kind of value are we able to bring anybody? So we have to take care of ourselves, right? So small changes make a big impact. All right. And another thing that I really, really like to talk about, obviously, is our spirit. Once our mind and heart's right, you need the energy to back it up. And God, that's where confidence comes from. Becca Black talks about confidence. That confidence, man, that gives you the can't stop, won't stop because you have purpose. That's where purpose comes from, down deep in your spirit. And without that strength, it's just survival. And we're not called to just survive, we're called to thrive. But it's our choice to make that decision to step into that. All right. Lastly, we talked about this last week. Relationships matter. Relationship capital. It is so important. I want to ask you a question. Who's in your circle and who is in your corner? And I saw this the other day. I didn't unpack it a whole lot, but it just popped on my mind again. But if your circle, and again, take this with a grain of salt, use discernment. If your circle is broke and has poor attitude, sometimes we're just thinking about us. Is that the people we need to hang out with? Is that the people we need to be around? Flip it around. Are you contributing to that? If your network is your net worth, are you contributing to that? Put a 5 in the chat if you understand what I'm saying. I didn't put a whole lot of thought into how I put that out. But we always talk about, our network is our net worth. Well, look about who we're hanging out with and who our circle is. And instead of saying, oh, I need to change, I need to change, I need to change my people, are we contributing to that? It could be our mindset. It could be the way we talk. It could be the way we think. So you need to do the facilitated introspection. Y'all remember that word I pulled off the other week? Man, that was a big one. That's probably one of the biggest words I've ever said. All right, guys. So to close, what area of your life do you need the operation overhaul? Everybody has a next step. Everybody. And I say it all the time, but just imagine those 4 things, those 4 parts of your nature being tires on a vehicle. If you have a flat tire, you'll still be able to go, but you won't go as fast. And if you ignore it, you're going to start tearing some stuff up. So where do you need a little extra air in your tires? Which tire is it? I really pray that you guys would take this serious and just get alone in silence and do that inventory. Take inventory on where you are spiritually, where are you mentally, physically, financially, relationships, and where can you use an operation overhaul? Where could you really, really, really take a next step to become better? Because we always need to be upgrading. We always need to be upgrading. All right, guys, I finished just a little bit early. Anybody want to come off mute and have a little convo with me? Anybody? Look, Becca Black, she's laughing, but guess what? I'm having a little Operation Overhaul right now. And I'm not going to say what it is, but she's helping me with it because I have something that I'm not 100% happy with. And it's my work. And I am going to level it up. I'm going to make it to where I'm proud of it because that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to bring my best of the best to the table. And I don't want to settle. And so sometimes you need help to do that. Sometimes you need somebody. Remember, it's not how. It's who sometimes. Because guess what? How will keep you stuck as well. If you sit there and say, how. Isn't it ZZ Top kind of? They had a little line. How. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Brock. Go ahead, Becca. I'm feeling it this morning. It's Tuesday.
Let me
Oh,
ask
yeah.
you a question.
Smile. Hercules.
Now I want to go do karaoke with Chad.
Let's go. Let's go.
Down on the corner,
Yes.
party in the street. That was a good one. I like that one. Before Rebecca, let me ask you this question, Chad, because somebody on here might be going through their introspection, they're going through some things. Put a 7 in the chat if you're doing some inner thoughts. You've been doing more than normal. Put a 7 in the chat if you've been really reflecting. Ever since Easter, I've been doing a deeper dive. Like I reflect daily, but like Easter, I really kind of dove a little bit deeper on several things. And so we got a lot of 7s here, Chad. So let me ask you this question. Where was it or what was it that made you recognize, because one of our greatest problems we all have, Rebecca finally, she asked me for help yesterday. I was so excited. I was like, wow, my coach asked me. I was so excited. But it's hard as maybe like the father figure, the leader, you're a speaker on here. You're I'm a big guy. I got this. And at what point did you like, damn, I need some help? Or where was it? Or what was that thought process to maybe help somebody here today who's been like, man, mate, is that me? I think it's me. I'm not too sure it's me. Like, what triggered you to be like, Rebecca, I need to put my tail between my legs. I need to let my ego to the side. I don't have it all figured out. How is that to you? And what would you say to that person today that's listening that needs to hear that words of like, I need help too?
So I'll speak personally and then I'll speak what I believe. My confidence is unshakable in my belief statement of me being created on purpose for purpose. And I'm literally, if I slow down or if I'm disobedient to that, if I'm not pursuing that, then I'll have a breakdown. I won't be able to function. So my foundation is so strong in knowing who I belong to that I am nothing. I am nothing without him. All right. So I will do whatever it takes. I don't care. I don't have to be, I'm not the main character. I'm not the main character of my story. And I'm very unashamed boldly about that. God is the main character. I will not waver from that. I will not compromise that. Period, point blank. Some people will be turned off by that. I'm not pushing it on you. I am proclaiming who I am and what he's done in my life. And so with that being said, I understand that I'm nothing. And I understand that God brings the right people in my life for purpose, on purpose. And I can't do it. I can't do everything. I don't claim to do anything or everything. I always have a next step to become better. And even the best can become better. But if you go back to last week, relationships matter. Relationships matter. Money makes moves, but relationships create movements. So we're called to do this thing together, man. You know, that's just the way it is. Now, look, sometimes our ego wants to get in the way. But once I'm aware that it's getting in the way, I have no problem shoving it out the door. Get out of here. I don't have to. I'm not all that in a bag of chips. I'm not. I need help like everybody. Matter of fact, let me unpack this a little bit. I'm starting to be more, I'm vulnerable with my kids and transparent with my kids. Because I want them to understand they're going to go through tough times too. And if they look at me as Superman, like I'm perfect and I have it all together, then I'm doing an injustice to them. I want them always to be able to come to me and let's talk this stuff out. So I share my weaknesses with them. They understand that I'm still dad. They understand that it's our house. They also understand that dad is humble. And they also understand that dad loves them. And they also understand that I speak the truth. You know what I mean? I'm trying to put stuff in them now instead of being consumed with putting stuff on them from a materialistic standpoint. So I hope that makes sense.
I love that you're putting stuff in them, not on them. That's a really good line right there. Because there's so many things that we, as parents, I don't know, maybe it's something that I didn't get or whatever it might be, or you want them to be this all-star or whatever else. And, um, putting something in them and not on them. Love that line. I know Rebecca wants to say something, so I shut my mouth, but I love that line.
All good. I was going to say, Chad, whenever you said that it needs to be a reference and not a residence, I said, ooh, that's like a whole lesson in and of itself right there. Because our pastor talked on Sunday about Easter, Resurrection Sunday has three components. It has a death, it has a burial, and it has a resurrection. So Jesus died, he was buried. And in life, most of us get buried. We get buried in the shame, we get buried in the guilt, we get buried in the resentment, in the setbacks, and we never rise above them. We never have our own Easter. We never have our own resurrection because we don't take the time to put ourselves in relationships with people that pull us up on another ring of the ladder. So I just want to say I love how you said that it should be a reference and not a residence. I feel like that was like a whole moment in and of itself.
That's right. And it's easy to do that. It's easy to just wallow in that guilt and shame. It's so easy because we're human.
Yeah.
We're human, right?
Yep.
And so anyway, guys, that's all I have. I hope you got a little something out of that. And I pray that you would take some of those items, just reflect on them and see where you could use the opportunity to upgrade, to take your next step. I'm here. I'm always here. So, if you ever wanted to reach out to me, be glad to talk with you, chat with you. I've talked to many of you on here, and I think that people will say, whoever's talked to me, and look, I'm not better than anybody, but I'll love on you. I'll pray with you. We'll talk things out, and anything I can be, however I can be, whenever I can be, that's who I want to be. All right. Appreciate you guys. Y'all take care. Have a good one. Bye-bye.